Hello, hello. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm very excited to have you here. And if you want to introduce yourself real quick to the community, like I said, Diana is one of our newest moderators in the Helium community over on Discord. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited to have you here, and I'm excited to hear about your project. So
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to hand it over to you if you don't mind.
Cheers. Cheers. So my name is Diana Rodriguez, and I am an automation infrastructure an automation specialist. I'm also a Python developer, and I've been doing IoT since 2016, so it's not too long. And I want to share. I'm going to share my screen just because this has a lot of emotion to it, and the project is very short and it's very simple. And what I want to share with all y'all is that everything counts, and I had to add Depeche Mode in here because they're one of my favorite bands, and I love I love this song. But anyway, this whole thing started with diabetes. I was diagnosed 3 years ago all of a sudden, and this illustration actually shows kind of how I felt, like both sides, the kid and the robot splitting in half. Well, it's not a robot, it's a fusion, but that's another story. I'm a cartoon nerd, and it was the worst day of my life because suddenly I was in charge of a process that the human body does manually. I was in charge of it, and I had to do everything manually when the process was automated by the body, and I didn't know what to do. And just to give you a quick introduction to what diabetes is, there are many kinds of diabetes. The two that people hear the most are type 1, where your body doesn't produce insulin, which is what regulates glucose. So yeah, we're in trouble. And type 2, it's when your body produces insulin but doesn't know what to do with it. And then there's gestational diabetes, then type 3 for those who have no pancreas, and then other variations that are more rare. But just to keep it simple, in my case, I have type 1 diabetes, so I need insulin constantly, and I need a device that monitors my sugar levels because I can't regulate automatically like everyone else does. So it needs, my body needs that external help. So why all this fuss with diabetes, and especially in the United States? This graphic shows the cost, the out of pocket monthly diabetes cost in 2016. That was $360 in the United States. Right now, with no insurance and out of pocket, in order for me to stay alive, I would have to spend $2,672 with 89 cents to be more exact. And that covers insulin, supplies, test strips, sensors, the pump, etc., etc. It is extremely expensive. And then, like I said before, you get presented with this whole dilemma that you have to run an automated process manually and kind of see what happens. And then doctors give you a sliding scale, and they say, okay, so you're over 20 and your blood sugar should be like this. And then we're going to start calculating that you might need this much insulin, but you never know. So the first, I kid you not, the first 9 months of my life as a diabetic were miserable. I was either too low or too high, or feeling like I was dying. And since insulin is a hormone that has effects on mood, concentration, the rest of my body, I just felt like I wanted to die, that I couldn't do it. And then I thought, well, if I give myself too much insulin, I can die. And if I don't give myself enough insulin, I can die. And I thought I need to do something that helps me stay like on track, and not only for me, but for this little one, she actually authorized me and gladly took a picture, had her dad take a picture of her with her sensor and her insulin pump. That's my 8-year-old niece. She lives in Argentina, and she is another user of the projects I developed. And I'm doing it for her, for myself, and for whoever I can help. The reason why I started this project is because I was low in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knew how to act because they didn't know I was diabetic. Someone thought I was drugged. Someone thought I was drunk. A policeman thought I was just a junkie and almost beat me up. Well, that's a different story. But then people don't know how to recognize symptoms because anyone could think I'm on drugs. And I didn't want to die surrounded of people. And this is why I did it. Anyway, more context would be useful. So there are a lot of awesome technologies. There are different insulin pumps, there are different sensors, different receivers, a lot of technology. And the problem is that these devices don't speak the same language, they don't communicate between themselves. So it's a major bummer. And a few of these problems have been resolved to help increase our quality of life as diabetics. And one is online monitoring. There's a dashboard, there's an open source dashboard called Night Scout, and it basically uses a second order model, not a regressive second order model, that can predict up to 30 minutes of blood sugar levels in advance. So in this case, my regular flow is me having the sensor, and then I have an app on my phone that tells me my levels, and then I can either hit that API or synchronize my sensor with another open source app and display all that data in an open source dashboard. And then it can help me make better decisions for dosing insulin. And that's really cool. But just in case, if you want to monitor me live, let's see, what's my sugar now? It's 159 and rising. And it's probably because I'm so excited to talk to you that it's just, it is what it is. That's what happens. If I'm too happy, my blood sugar tends to go skyrocket. But yeah, you can see my blood sugar levels live. And this is the dashboard where I also pair with what I'm going to show you now. It should be something like this. Obviously, I'm 159 deciliters per milligram, if I'm not, milligrams per deciliter, sorry. So that's one problem that technology covered, and it's great because it helps parents with diabetic children and everything. And then, yeah, even me. The second one is automation. There's this do-it-yourself Open APS. It stands for Open Artificial Pancreas System. It basically is a way to summon an insulin pump using an open source app. And it's a really fun project to build. The two most common insulin pumps over BLE are 433 and 916. And that project actually has saved so many lives. It basically suggests you, if you're starting with it, you can do open loop. It suggests what insulin should you be taking, or how many carbs you should be taking if you're going low, etc. And then if you close that loop, it basically replicates what a pancreas would do. And I've been running this automated function, and it's amazing because it has been spot on. I haven't been out of range too bad that I have to, you know, that is putting my life in risk. And there's a whole community of do-it-yourself artificial pancreas systems, and there are a variety of them. And this is something, if you want to look into, you can just Google Open APS. It's amazing. It's huge. Then with monitoring, there's also hardware, and these devices, the sensors that transmit data. This one transmits every 5 minutes, and it has a 15-minute delay. There's a small cannula under my skin that is measuring my blood sugar decels, not in blood, but in interstitial fluid, which is why the readings are delayed by 15 minutes, but it's reliable enough for me to keep myself in track. Now, what's our contribution? What's mine? And if you want to participate, your contribution. There are certain devices that are not that expensive, that are used by people that are outside of the United States, that are not continuously monitoring blood glucose. There are commercial solutions to turn those, like the Freestyle Libre, into a continuous glucose monitor, but they're expensive. So the first phase of this project, and that's like what my desk would look on any given day, trying different devices and things to sync, is to turn one of these cheaper devices into a continuous glucose monitor like the one I'm wearing. If you want to check out, this is a fork of a project called Limiter. It was abandoned 4 years ago, more actually 5.5 years ago, when commercial solutions came out actually from this project. So what I'm doing is turning it into a smaller, more effective, battery efficient device that anyone in any underrepresented community and underserved country could have access to the necessary tools and boards to make this happen. The highlights of this moment is a WisBlock and helium powered GPS tracker. And what we do is sync either the two most used open source apps like Loop or XDrip. And I'm currently testing the sensors. The raw data is often complicated to handle, so it's still work in progress, but I can sync with the applications that the DIY community use to summon their pumps, like the one I have here in this Android phone, to the WisBlock. And then I can hook up to, connect to any hotspot and then send those details over the network. My blood glucose readings, timestamp, the trend, which is that little arrow you see. If it's flat, it means it's stable, and then you see if it's rising or going down. But if I was in an emergency, then I can also configure an emergency, up to actually 5 emergency contacts. If I'm in trouble in, any area that is covered by the network, and I can't reach out, my emergency supplies, or I passed out, or I'm even awake and unaware that I'm in an urgent low situation, it will call my emergency contact, which in this case is my mom, and notify her that I am in a dangerous situation. Thank goodness my doctor actually allowed me to hook the doctor's office number, and they have a dedicated line where they can receive these calls. So if I'm in trouble, it will just send them, the details they need over SMS with my exact location, and also notify them with a call. And this is it's an ambitious project, and here I have to come forward to you and say, I haven't been doing this for long enough. I had to train myself to use, Arduino C++ to make this project happen, because I am very proficient in Python, in CircuitPython, MicroPython, you name it. But for this project, I had to start from scratch, and it's been an amazing learning curve. Quite steep, if I'm honest with you, but I've got a lot of support from the Helium folks, from the Rack Wireless folks, and from the community. And this is where I need your help, where I need your contributions, because this is something that can save lives. If this initial implementation has saved my own life many times, imagine what impact it can have on other patients. And this is not only applicable for diabetics, it's equally applicable for Alzheimer patients, for dementia patients, for just the elderly in general. There's more. And right now, there's a Flask app, and this is the repository where it explains everything, and it comes in with a tutorial that I made to hook up my tracker in the meantime. And what I do is, because I don't hear alerts, even when I'm sleeping or when I'm awake, I use a standard range to say, well, this is low, this is high. I have a mobile phone. I have this dashboard where I can log in and add my Night Scout, which is that open source dashboard, information, my entries, endpoint, my phone number, my emergency contact number, and up to 5 additional emergency contacts. And then if things go, off the work, then they will get notified if I'm in trouble. It will call me personally because I never hear any alerts when I'm asleep, but if my phone rings, I'm always available. And right now, what we're doing with this, the Scout Python app, it's 100% completed and the tutorial is included if you want to implement it yourselves. The WisBlock tracker is 75% completed, and I'm dealing with some pairing issues, and I will have the code available today for anyone who wants to check it out. I'm still testing. There are other diabetic groups, especially in California, who are also testing these devices, and I shipped some of these trackers to different parts of the world, including Argentina, for my 8-year-old niece. There's a Scout X Flutter mobile app, and basically what it does is pair the WisBlock, configure the details you see in the Python app, and configure with emergency contacts, and do the SMS messaging and handle everything from the phone. And that's a 50% as of today. It will be completed this week. And the Scout website is launching tomorrow. I was going to launch it today, but where I want to come forward to all y'all is that it's just me doing this at the moment. And I know that with your help, this project can have an even greater and more positive impact. I'm encouraging the DIY diabetes community to get in the network. And when you buy a hotspot, for mining, you're getting a great reward, but you're also helping to save lives. If you have a DIY hotspot the same way, the more coverage we have, the more lives we can save. And that's like priceless for someone like me, a diabetic patient who started this from scratch. I don't know all things, I'm not the oracle, but I have put my heart and soul in this project, and any contributions whatsoever are well appreciated. I know my limitations, and I know that I need help from the open source community, and I'd be glad to make you part of this, whatever you want to do in the project. And that's all I have to share with you. This is the slides URL, the repo URL, and then there's my website, and I am on Twitter at Katufa82. And that's it, folks. If you have any questions, I hope I can answer them.
I just want to say, Diana, what you're doing is really, really cool. And I'm not a software or coding proficient, but I would really want to get involved because I'm actually type 1 myself. And I would really, really, really want to get involved and link up with you on that.
I'd be honored. I'm glad to find a fellow type 1 diabetic here.
Diana, that was fantastic. This project is amazing. Would you mind putting the links to your contact into the chat here so folks can contact you there?
Definitely. just so you know, the JDRF hasn't replied yet, but I have to give a massive shout out to Helium. They have been amazing to this project. The same Jose Marcelino from Rack Wireless and Maria as well, and I mean, I have no words to, and Brian from Parley Labs as well. I have no words to express my gratitude to all of you. I seriously thought this was something impossible, and thanks to your help, I'm making it happen. And definitely leaving all my contacts in here, including the repository. And if there's anything I can help you with, if there's anything you'd like to propose, even if you're not into coding or anything, but there's any feature you can think of, I want to make this possible. Thank you.
That's great, Diana. Thank you very much. Can you share what sensor you're using? The sensor that tests your levels? I have a friend of a friend who's just going down this road, and it's probably type 2. I'm not quite sure, but she definitely needs some sort of automation to help her track her levels. But we're kind of at a loss as to where to start even.
I can relate to being at a loss to automation. I've been manually doing it since the age of 4.
That's admirable. I've only been diabetic for 3 years, and you know, it's a complicated situation. Many times I felt like I was gonna die, and it even happened to me. Even when you do everything right, things can fail.
It catches
And
you.
it happened to me live in a workshop. I was given a workshop at API Days in Jakarta, and because I'm low and aware and I didn't get any alerts because I deactivated the tracker and muted my phone, I went blind live. And I was like, okay, people, if I'm acting deranged, I must be either very low or very high. So I need to call 911 and I need to excuse myself. And the other person that was given a workshop with me took over, but it's that big of a deal. And sometimes people don't even think, like, they don't even imagine what it is like to live with this uncertainty. So because we have these superpowers and this knowledge of technology, I mean, what better way to contribute than to use it for a good cause?
100%. I hadn't even considered the application of helium for diabetes, and I mean, I've been in the community since sort of like August last year, and it didn't even cross my mind. I guess mainly because over here, at least as far as I'm aware, like pumps aren't so much of a bigger thing over here. They've kind of taken a while to catch on because of regulations. So we're a little bit behind on that, but I can totally relate to it being quite scary when you go hypo. I was at a workplace working a security night shift. I don't know if you've ever done night shifts. It really, really messes with your blood glucose. And yeah, went low, almost passed out on the floor, and the guy tried to start giving me CPR, the guy I was working with, which wasn't great.
When you just needed a soda, right?
Yeah, I just needed like a Lucozade or Powerade or something.
Can you share, Diana, what device you're using to measure the yes, that one?
Dexcom G6, and the cheaper version, it's a flash glucose monitor. You just tap it. It's RFID. It's got an RFID tag. It's the Libre 2 Freestyle Libre, and part of the project is to turn those Freestyle Libre into a full continuous glucose monitoring system. I'm actually experimenting with BM019, and it's a bit C, but the next one I always forget, but it's an Adafruit Featherwing that has Bluetooth, and just adding that extra NFC. It's basically to turn it into, NFC to BLE, and then pair it with limiter with that app I mentioned, Xstrip, and then that sanitizes the data, because I'm still fairly new to handling raw data from a sensor. But yeah.
All right, thank you.
The price discrepancy between the two devices, this one out of pocket is $400 for a month of sensors. No, $300 for 3 sensors. They last 10 days each. I'm going to hell because of this, but I extend them to 20 days. It's not a good idea to do so, but it's a way for me to save a little bit, and also make sure I have extra sensors just in case if I'm not able to buy them. And the transmitters last 90 days. I've tried replacing the batteries, but it's not as effective as you would think, trying to hack those things. And the Freestyle Libre 2 out of pocket between $50 to $80 per sensor, but those last 14 days. So it's much cheaper to go that way. And I know the NHS covers those in the UK. So it's like the go-to for many people.
It is, but
Thank you.
the hurdles you have to jump over to get them is fun.
If they are cheaper, is there any downside on accuracy or?
No, it's just that they don't transmit the data continuously. You have to scan it every time you want to know, and they hold up to 12 hours of data in memory. But yeah, I mean, with just an add-on, turning those into from flash to continuous is fairly easy. It's exactly, they're like loggers. So the hurdle here is to make a device that is small enough and battery efficient to keep up, and also water resistant to keep up with this for 14 days. And that's what I'm also working on. Yeah, they're NFC.
What is it that after 10 days on the Dexcom, why does it run out after 10 days? Does the battery stop working, or what happens at day 10?
No, it's more like a health hazard. Ideally, no foreign objects can be under the skin for over 15 days. Dexcom does 10 days. But there's like a metal cannula under the skin measuring interstitial fluid.
Okay, so is that like in case we don't want infection to come in, you got to get the device out and that sort of thing? I see.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Have they, is there nobody that's experimented with a sort of sanitization process, so to speak, as opposed to buying new ones and replacing them monthly or what have you? Some sort of standalone sanitation device that you could then recharge it if that is the only sort of inhibiting factor, so to speak. Does that exist on the market, or is that not out there yet?
No, there's none. I've tried, if anyone wants to jump in, do that. I've tried turning these into turning the sensors into recharge, but I don't know what the components of this plastic are, so I can't disintegrate it. It's not like I can, disintegrate them in ammonia and then try to make something. I don't know if it's some sort of polymer weird mix, I don't know the material, but there have been attempts to make those rechargeable.
Gotcha.
Could you make your own sensor out of a 3D printer?
That'd be complicated because it needs a special cannula to be inserted under the skin. That would be the difficult part.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I want to throw kind of an idea out here. Do you think like Helium network is kind of, they can participate by the tokens to give a fraction for kind of no-profit organization to help the people in needs like yours, like it's kind of in the healthcare people who has like Alzheimer, or the people they have kind of diabetics. So basically a fraction of the token for the people they want to participate, or the miners who want to participate in such a cause. I'm not kind of a blockchain developer guy, but I think it's possible kind of to take a fraction of the token being mined and to give it to those kind of for no-profit organization and to help the people in needs.
I love that idea. I love that idea. I don't know as far as taxation works in different regions, how that, how that would suss out, but and I think that's a fantastic idea. Um, and really with hotspots and validators, there are a lot of projects, that are able to use, that money to help kind of fund what they're doing. And so no, that's interesting. That's something I'd like to look more into.
Sure.
Diana, what's the biggest blocker to you being to have completed what you're trying to complete? What's the one biggest problem that you're stuck on?
I have 3 blockers.
Okay.
The first one is, my own limitations, probably time. There are so many moving parts of this project that I can't do everything alone, and that I don't want to be a bottleneck. And that's the one of the biggest limitations. The second one would be resources, because for every test device I send to someone who is not a programmer or a person in the maker space, well, that's something I'm offsetting, that comes out of pocket, and I don't mind doing it, but after a while, I mean, I have 150 people who are testing this, who have zero idea about programming, and that's 150 devices that I had to buy. Parley Labs donated a few, and the Nightscat Foundation helped me with some tools. So I have a GitHub sponsors. If anyone wants to sponsor that way, I don't need to make money out of this. Thank goodness I'm in a privileged situation. I'm a developer advocate for Twitch, but any proceedings from that GitHub sponsors go to send devices to either testers or people in underserved areas, people who can't afford, getting these things themselves to make them. And the third one, well, is the same time, resources for those. I wish to help everyone, but there's only so much I can do. And then the third one would be probably getting more help on the IoT side of the operation, because I know my knowledge is limited. Like I said, I had to train myself from scratch to be able to code in C, and it's been a really painful experience. I mean, think about it, I've been a Python developer my entire life. So what I can do in 5 lines with Python, I probably do 50 in C. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a little suggestion for a future potential feature. I don't know if this would even be possible. With the readings that are being collected in terms of blood glucose level, if you got a big enough user base testing and allowed them to opt into this, could you potentially collect that data and get someone who is able to do so to write an algorithm to actually pre-predict hypos and hypers? Because obviously CGM monitors are doing that now, but they're all proprietary algorithms based within their own companies. I don't know if they've been sourced by user data as such.
Sorry for interrupting you, Sky. The Open APS actually has a powerful algorithm. It's called SMB,
Okay.
RFO an RF1, and that's what predicts hypos and hypers, and it can even advise you on how much insulin you should be dosing, and if you close the loop, it will basically administer it automatically. So
Cool.
given that this project has so much potential, being able to also pair pump data is definitely possible. I can do it in the Flutter app, but again, I have a time constraint, and it's only me. I only have a pair of hands, and there's only so much I can do, and I admit that I lack knowledge in certain areas, but yeah, I definitely yes.
Cool. Yeah, no, I didn't realize OpenAPS already did that, so that's fine.
Have you shared the URL of your project? Is that in the chat?
Yes, I'll share it again. But definitely, if there's anything you'd like to contribute with, thank you. I will release the code just after this meetup. I have to admit that being like a not trained in IoT, I was a bit hesitant because I felt like, people would judge. And I know it's ridiculous, imposter syndrome attacking me like harshly. But I will release a tracker code, and if there's anything you'd like to add, it'd be my honor to to have contributions from you. Thank you all so much.
No, thank you, Diana, for presenting on this, and hopefully some of the members of the community, will get involved on this project. It's fantastic what you've been able to do, on your own here. But it would be great, like you say, to have more than two hands become involved here. So the link here, I'm going to put all of this over into Discord, into the happy hour channel. And so, please reach out to Diana and give this girl a hand.
If this is something Diana wanted, was this maybe a project worthy of its own channel?
I was asked this morning, and I wanted to see if that was okay with the community,
Oh,
But-
absolutely. And it's something that I mean, just looking at the chat here, there's obviously interest, within the helium community for your project here, Diana. And I'd love to get you set up on a channel where, you can coordinate with other members that are contributing here.
Thank you so much. I got a little bit teary. Thank you so much.
If I could make a friendly suggestion as well, I'm presuming that this recording will be going up on YouTube and the likes too, but YouTube currently, I would definitely look into making a channel, even if it just ends up being this video to start. It is so powerful for people like this kind of thing, looking for answers to this kind of problem. And all it takes is one person to pick it up and share it on a decent sized link, whether it's on Reddit or whatever. And next thing you know, you could have 7, 8 people messaging you saying, hey, I'll do some work for you for free, or some of the hardware or the software side and stuff like that. But I think don't be scared, irrespective of whether the actual code is perfection or if it's a 1 out of 10. I think it's a very noble cause that people are definitely willing to get behind. And I can speak for myself, but I'm not a diabetic, and it's something that I'm now looking into and Googling on the side here about sensor tech and certain ways you could get around things. But I think there'd be tremendous value for yourself in doing that. And again, even if a video gets 100 views, it only takes one person, the right person, to see it. And next thing you know, you're getting donations and people helping out and stuff. So I'd really look into that personally.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Have you thought to create kind of a little kind of a social media account, Facebook page, kind of Instagram account for that? Just yeah.
There's a Twitter profile that is inactive. It will go active, fully active tomorrow with the website launch. I just had time constraints, and if you can see, my lab is not completely set up. I was just redoing my office, so the makerspace is not put together, but that will be ready tomorrow, 6 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time.
Beautiful.
Are you working with any electronic health record vendor companies? No. Okay.
All right. Well,
Question. Oh,
if anyone
sorry.
has any more questions for Diana while she's with us this evening,
Yeah,
unmute and jump in.
quick question. I don't know if you can hear me. I was just thinking, I've heard about like sweat monitoring. I guess that's less accurate. I don't know if that actually is a thing, but I heard about it a few years back.
What was that again? Sorry.
Sorry, I don't know if my microphone's working that well. I've heard about sweat monitoring, like glucose sweat monitoring in the past. I don't know how accurate that is, obviously, compared to the cannula like sensors.
I have very little information on the accuracy of sweat monitoring, but you know, at this point, any kind of new technology, if I had the chance of testing it myself, I could tell you, because I'm a subject. You know, if I could attach myself to a watch or any kind of device that measured my blood sugar on sweat, I could compare it. I actually, there's another device called Eversense that goes under the skin. It's like a chip. You have to insert a capsule and every 90 days take it out. And I've done the comparison of having all three devices and seeing what the error margin is. The median is about 30 points up and down in the spectrum. So, you know, from time to time, you still need a blood test, probably once or twice a week. But definitely, I'd be cool to try it, but I have no information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for sharing your project. Very inspirational. Thank you very much.
Again, thank you very much.
Sorry.
You're truly inspirational, and I just want you to know that you've touched my heart. Thank you.
Well, Diana, thank you very much for the presentation. This is great. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. And this project's fantastic. I love what you're doing here, and hopefully that you know, you'll be able to pick up some more hands on this project to help you out. Thank you very much for being with us here tonight.
Just very quickly, Diana, what's your tag on Discord? I haven't seen you.
It's Cotufa82, and Cotufa means popcorn in Venezuelan slang. I'm from Venezuela.
Cool, thank you.
Or Scottish, but yeah.
Thank you.
And Diana's a mod over on Helium now, so
yes.
welcome on that point as well. So thank you very much for helping us out over there. So all this contact information, I'm going to push over to the happy hour channel over on our Discord. And so if you want to contact Diana, I'll get that up here once we get off this call. And please do anything you can do to help out this project. I mean, this is great. And I know we have some fantastic people in the community. And I was surprised just seeing how many people were kind of talking in chat about having diabetes or being affected by it, you know, with friends or family. So that's great. Please reach out. Please help support this project. And Diana, thank you so much for building on the Helium network. I mean, there we go, girl. Awesome.